I'm so excited for you to listen into this episode of Rooted in Retail, which features my first retailer, Anna McConnell, the owner of Pilar Boutique. We have such a great conversation about running a retail store. Anna is rooted in retail. She started at her mom's store, and she has such great advice on this episode. In fact, I even got emotional when we were talking about something that Anna said that I know is going to really help a lot of you. In this episode, we talk about the power of leadership and how to be a good leader. And Anna has a great book to help you do that and some awesome advice. Anna also shares some really great tips for training your team. I love how she does it. It's something everybody can do that's listening to this, and it will make a big difference because when our team is properly trained, they feel more confident in their jobs. You have more trust in your employees, and that can free you up to work on growing the business or even just taking some time off, which we also talked about. Anna gives some advice for just resting. And I think this is where I got really emotional filming this episode. I think that Anna says something in this episode that's going to make at least one person listening feel emotional and feel like they can take a day off, or a week off, or a month off, or a summer off, which is what Anna did. She took an entire summer off, and guess what? Her sales grew. So we are talking about that, and she just has great advice for our retailers around team and leadership. I also asked Anna about her marketing, and she has a really good way of thinking about marketing. It's really not about one thing. It's about this whole view of everything together. And so we kind of dive into what that looks like. She also has some advice if you're feeling afraid of being on camera. She used to as well, and she'll share with you how she overcame that. In this episode, we also talk about working with your family because Anna started in the retail world at her mom's store and then branched off to her own. And so they still work together today. And she has some really good advice on how they make that work. And we talk about so much more. I just loved this episode, this conversation, and I know you will too. Before we dive in, here's a little bit more about Anna. Right out of high school, Anna began working at her mom's boutique, Cloz to Home. Falling in love with buying, growing the business, and the connection with customers, she had a vision to create a store with a style of her own. Pilar's storefront location opened in 2018, just 3 doors away from Close to Home in downtown Loveland, Colorado. Pilar is Anna's middle name and also the Spanish meaning of pillar or strength. She can tell you it takes a lot of strength to open a boutique and go through the pandemic in year 2. But the shop survived, and her passion for Pilar is stronger now than ever. In July of 2022, Anna opened her second location in downtown Fort Collins, Colorado. She loves to wear soft, comfortable clothing that doesn't take a lot of effort to look cute and stylish. And that is exactly what you will find at Pilar. Effortless, comfortable style. If you're a Colorado local, stop by the shop and say hi. If not, jump into their DMs and say hi. They're at shop_Pilar and pilarboutique.com. And that's obviously why I love Anna's store, because I love comfortable and soft and amazing things. And she's just so helped style me. And I just love working with her. You're going to fall in love with her on this episode and all the advice she has. So let's dive in. Welcome to Rooted in Retail, the show that's dedicated to helping independent retailers thrive in today's ever-evolving retail landscape. I'm your host, Crystal Vilkaitis, and I'm thrilled to have you join me weekly as we explore topics that are vital to the success of your store. From marketing to mindset, money to merchandising, sales to leadership, we'll cover it all. Each episode features interviews with industry experts and accomplished retailers who share their real-life insights and actionable advice. Get ready for a great conversation on how to build your dream business with Rooted in Retail. Anna, welcome to Rooted in Retail. I'm thrilled you're here.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
Yep, you are my first retailer, and this is very special because, as I mentioned in the intro, you are my favorite boutique here in Northern Colorado, if not possibly my favorite boutique anywhere. So I'm so excited that you're here.
So much.
Yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Anna and I were talking before we hit record, and I'm like, soon my entire closet, I think, is just going to be Pilar. She's just going to help me. I really struggle with getting dressed, and I love having a resource that's local.
Best style. You always look amazing.
Oh, well, that with your help. I totally need help. So I so appreciate you. And let's dive in. I'm really excited for this conversation and to learn more about kind of the behind the scenes of your business. So I know that you kind of got started in retail, like your roots sort of start with your mom's store close to home because you joined her store. She opened that in 2006, but then you opened your own store. So will you just tell us a little bit about how you got started with your mom's store?
Yeah, definitely. My mom opened close to home in 2006 when I was 16, so I was still in high school. I worked at her boutique when she first opened, and I was bored out of my mind. I was just like, how does she do this every day? This is so boring. So I didn't work for her very much, but then when I graduated high school in 2018, I didn't really know what I wanted to do. I didn't have any interest in going to college. I was just working at a restaurant. And so she asked me to go on a little buying trip with her just to Denver, at the merchandise mart there. So I went with her and she let me pick out clothes and order things. And I just fell in love with the boutique business. Like I didn't even know that was part of it. And so I started getting into I dove into like the financials and doing budgets for her for merchandising, like inventory budgets. And I dove into the marketing side of it. So I set her up with emails and like a customer list and signed her up for Facebook, did all of those things. So.
And then did you realize that retail isn't boring anymore?
Yeah, it was so much fun. And my mom really didn't have any interest in any of that. So I just self-taught myself all of those things. And it was just like, it was so much fun.
Well, what a perfect fit. And so then you're learning with working with your mom, you're enjoying it. And then you open Pilar in 2018. And so what inspired you to go off on your own and open your own store?
So I became 50-50 partners with my mom in 2016. So I became partners with her. And then I was trying to, my mom's store, our store, but like I call it my mom's store because she started it. It's like an older demographic and we target that like 50 to 70-year-old women. And I brought in like free people and these brands that I really wanted. And it got super confusing. Like my mom's friends were like, oh, this is like too young for me. And then the younger girls would come in and they're like, oh, this is too old for me. And so I don't know. My friend Callie had opened Vintage Willows down the street from us. And I was watching her and I just loved that she had a store of her own and that she had a style that was her own and trendy. And so I just really wanted that for myself. And so a space had opened up just like 3 doors down from close to home. And I ran over to my husband's office. He works across the street from us in the office. So I ran over there and I was like, babe, that space is available. And I was like, can we go look at it? And he's like, yeah, call them right now. And so it was like, it happened so fast. It was just like 3 months later, we were open.
Oh my goodness. That's crazy. How cool.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, you love when it all kind of just lines up like that. When it's in the flow, it feels like it's meant to be. And this is also a perfect example of understanding your demographics and your mom's, the close to home demographic, and really understanding that we want to help the shopper shop. We don't want to be confusing. And this really requires a second location. Because I bet somebody listening to this might struggle with some of those things. And so it's interesting how it's
important to be niche and really like stick with your target market so they're not confused. And I think like ever since Pilar opened, Vintage Willows has grown a lot. Like her sales went up, and also Close to Home has had its best year ever. Because I just think like the more shopping downtown, but we all have our own like niche products. It just really like all works together.
Yeah. Well, I'm so glad that you ladies open these stores in downtown Loveland because I am originally born and raised in Loveland. And when I moved back and I was staying downtown for the first couple of months and I walked into your store and I'm like, this exists in Loveland? Like none of this stuff existed growing up, as you know, too. And so when you're bringing more businesses, you start building that energy of the downtown, and then there's more restaurants that are there too. So it just is so much more lively. It's good to see. Okay, so let's talk about working with your mom. Can you tell us about the experience of working with her and how you've navigated the family dynamic in a business setting?
Yes, my mom is a saint, I have to say, because I am like I was not the easiest to work with. I've definitely grown a lot since I was in my 20s. But she has just always been very supportive of my vision. And if I want to implement different things, I think she almost had a heart attack when I told her I wanted to barcode the entire store and switch to Shopify. Because I think when I first started, she was like handwriting all of the receipts. And I was just like, this is so dated. I'm like, we have to change this. And once I get a vision, it's like, I don't stop until I accomplish that. And so she's just been so sweet and like, she's let me grow, like through the store, and just has been always so supportive. It's hard. Like, it's definitely hard working with your mom. It has its benefits, but then it's also hard because it's like, I want her to be my mom. I just want her to be like my best friend and my mom. But then it's like, we'll have a conflict at work, and then it's just like kind of awkward, and it's like there's tension and resentment. So honestly, I think when I opened Pilar and I stepped out of Close to Home as in the operations, that's really helped our relationship, because she feels like Close to Home's more her store now, that she has like reigns over everything, and then Pilar's more like my space.
Totally. Well, and it's sort of a clarity, like division of roles. And even through having that separation with the store, it really creates the division. And we have to have that clarity of like who is doing what, because if we're both doing some of the same stuff, then who owns it and whose fault is it when there is a problem, and who's taking charge? So I could see that really happened. If
anyone is in a business where it's like they are in business with their family, and it's not a situation where, like in my situation, I had the opportunity to kind of like step back from that. I just think having those like roles and like having those boundaries and those roles are really important to keep like a good relationship with your family.
Totally. So are you doing much with Close to Home right now? And is your mom doing much with Pilar?
My mom doesn't do a lot with Pilar. And with Close to Home, I help with, I would say, some of the financials, like overseeing some of like the bookkeeping and just making sure that everything's like afloat. And then we do have an amazing office manager. And so I am in communication with her all the time for like emails to help with promotions, things like that. And then I do help with the buying.
Okay. Awesome.
Yeah.
Hey, real quick, I want to invite you to my in-person marketing conference called Evolve, happening April 26th and 27th in Denver, Colorado at the stunning Gaylord Rockies. We are going to talk about all things retail and marketing and more. You're going to walk away feeling confident in yourself, in your marketing plan that feels comfortable and authentic to you. You're going to have a very good understanding of the future of social media and marketing, because it's going to look very different than it does today, and how you can adapt and evolve to stay relevant and thrive. Many businesses won't do that, and you can if you come to Evolve. We're going to have other topics as it relates to social media and marketing, as well as inventory management, money, mindset, leadership. This is a packed agenda plus time for networking, meeting new retailer friends, and getting your questions answered from me and my team and our speakers. I'd love to see you in the room. So go to crystalmediaco.com/evolve to get your ticket. Seating is limited, so hurry and grab your ticket before we sell out. I hope to see you there. One thing with financials and buying, we've talked about this. I didn't send this ahead of time, so this is a little off the cuff here, but we've talked about this in store of Management One. And I know that you're using Management One, and they're partners of ours. They're sponsors of our event Evolve. Can you just talk a little bit about your experience and what you found? Because I feel like they're such a valuable tool to retailers.
Oh my gosh, Crystal, I wish I found them 15 years ago. Like, would have saved me so many stressful moments if I knew about them earlier. We just started working with them in October, and we have our own business consultant. We meet with her for each store monthly. So we have a 2-hour meeting with her every month for each location, and we really dive deep into like our analytics, our inventory, and she also helps us with our cash flow planning. Anything that we're overbought in that we need to move, things like that. It's been so helpful. I've really seen Close to Home specifically thrive and grow so much from using them. Pilar, because we just opened our second location, it's been like a little bit trickier to navigate our open to buy because we don't have that history.
Sure.
But it has just been so helpful to have them on our team.
Yeah. I love that you're using them. And I just feel like if I had a brick and mortar, like every brick and mortar retailer needs to use them. It's just going to make you a better store. Yeah.
I think especially if someone's just starting out, it's really important.
Yeah. So it's worth it. It is so worth working with them. And we'll link to them too in the show notes. So you mentioned your second location. You started in Loveland and then you opened your second location. But before we go there, when you first started in 2018, what were a couple of the challenges that you experienced? Because I'm sure, like anything, when we open a new business, there's a lot going on. So will you share a couple of those things?
My vision for Pilar when I first opened was to have a little bit of a higher price point, very like contemporary, having like jeans over $200, basics that were $70. And I soon found out that our Loveland demographic wasn't necessarily ready for that. And so I really I learned my lesson in that, and also had to pivot pretty quickly and in order to just change my inventory and my product mix. And then I don't know, when I opened Pilar, I had a really hard time working 7 days a week.
Yeah.
I was so excited and I wanted it so bad. But then once I opened, I couldn't afford staff. So I was really stuck there, and I felt like, I don't know, almost like those blues that you get after like a big event happens. And then it's just like, oh, this is it. Like, I worked so hard to open this, and now I'm just stuck here, like waiting for someone to come in. And that was really hard. And then year 2, we went through COVID. So I would say my first 2 years of Pilar were absolute hell.
Yep.
But year 3, just really picked up. I got over some of my fears of being on camera and got out there doing try-on videos and really pushing our online presence, and switched our product mix to a little bit of a lower price point. So we try and stay under $150. And it's just really been awesome and thriving ever since.
So you mentioned getting over your fear of going on camera and kind of pushing yourself to do that. Yeah. So many people struggle with this, Anna, so many people. And you do so great. I love watching your lives. You show up so much on social. But what helped you get out there more?
Oh, just doing it. You literally have to just get uncomfortable Like, I could not sit here and have a conversation with you on a camera being recorded 4 years ago. Like, I would have just like shut down, wouldn't be able to speak. And so just practicing, like, get yourself out there, get uncomfortable, and just be willing to like be vulnerable and get out of your comfort zone.
And when you started doing that, did you find people were engaging and they were commenting on your lives and coming into the store and mentioning the lives? Like, were you seeing that? Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And people want to see the face of the business owner. Like, I'm very, like, I'm like humble and I'm like, no one wants to see me, but it's like really like people do, they want to know who's behind the brand and who's behind the store, and they want to see the business owner's face and their personality and what they like, what their style is like.
They so do. These are the people that they're shopping from and supporting. And I really believe that we want to connect with the businesses that we buy from. And I think that we just so are in a place in our life where connection is meaningful now more than ever because of technology and because of the pandemic. And so there are so many business owners that feel the way that you felt of nobody wants to see me. Nobody wants to hear from me. And you are younger. So if anybody's watching this or listening, they might be like, yeah, but she's younger. I'm in my 50s or 60s or 70s, and we have fear of how we look or how we sound. But at the end of the day, your customer really wants to see you. It's so true.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
What would you say is one or two things that have worked really well from a marketing tactic?
I have a really hard time answering this because I think there's such thing as like a perfect combination of everything. Like, you can't just do social media. You can't just open and think that things are going to like pick up, or you can't just do a loyalty program. Like, you have to like have this perfect combination and keep working at all of those things all the time. I would say for me, networking is like one of my biggest strengths and one of my biggest ways to market Pilar. So I go to a lot of women's events in town, and I host a lot of events, and just making those connections, whether it be like you're at the grocery store and you run into someone from high school or something. Like, me just being super nice and interested in other people has really like helped my business. And then also having the right team and the customer experience in the store is huge too. Like, every person that walks in the store, it's important how you make them feel, because they're going to remember that, and then they're going to go tell their best friend, and then their best friend's going to come in and be like, oh, my best friend came in here, she loves it, like, and then they're going to become a customer as well.
Yeah. Well, that's so true. It's funny because when I first shopped at your store, it was like my third day back home. I had just moved home, and my friend Christina, who we both know, who's my photographer and local business owner, and I was staying with her. We were staying with her with our two dogs in downtown, like a block from your store. And she invited me to go to the socialites. It was a networking event for women. And I was like, I have nothing to wear. We shipped a lot of clothes. So we went into Pilar, and you weren't working, but I had the best experience with the girl who was working, and she made me feel so comfortable. And I did go to a couple other stores and had like okay experiences, but like yours shined through, and I loved your product mix. And then you were at that event that night, and I'm wearing the shirt that I bought at Pilar. And I was like, I was at your store, and I just want to tell you, you have excellent customer service. Like, I was just blown away. So you're so right.
Yes.
And then I love that you said too, that you have to have a full look on everything. Like, it's not just one thing that's going to drive traffic and sales. And I think that so often we can feel frustrated and overwhelmed, and we just want like the quick fix. Tell me what I need to do right now to drive in traffic. And sometimes you can do that. Like, you might be able to send an email, you might be able to go live and get some people coming in, but that's today. It's not sustainable. Like, you have to really focus on the whole aspect of how you're connecting. And so I just love that you said that. It's so true.
I think if someone is overwhelmed by marketing too, there's so many people out there that can help, like you, Crystal. But there's just so many resources. There's a lot of free resources that people can use, but just being on all different, like using all different ways of marketing and being consistent with that is just, it really, I feel like it makes me stand out as a retailer.
Totally. Something that works well for me with you is your 5 Stars program, and which is your loyalty program. For anybody that has never heard of it, will you just talk a little bit about that platform and how you use it?
Yeah, it's a loyalty program that's for in-store only, and we have little tablets at our front counter, and a lot of the other boutiques around use it as well. So it's helpful that all of us are talking about it and customers get familiar with 5 Stars. And it's a text message and email based loyalty program. And people can collect points as well. So they collect points for like every $1 that they spend, they collect a point. And then you set up your own point bracket where they can get discounts. And then it also has an automated system, which is really helpful because it takes out the work for us. So like one more thing, like I don't have time to like text all my good customers when it's their birthday and be like, happy birthday, here's $10 to use in-store credit. So it does automated birthday discounts or like first time sign up. If they haven't been in the store in 30 days, it sends them like a little coupon. It's really, really effective.
No kidding. It's so smart. And it's sort of like a silent employee that's out there kind of marketing for you, that you're not having to train or manage. Like you're setting it up. I think we have resistance to new technology or new ways of doing things, like your mom with Shopify and barcodes. But like you set it up, but then it works for you. Like there's always that period of discomfort and change, but we really are evolving to do things more efficiently and better. And I'm just such a fan of, that's our preferred when we teach loyalty is 5 Stars. So I just think it's an easy platform.
Because they like walk you through the whole setup and they help you set up all your automated discounts that go out. And so it's really user friendly and really easy.
Awesome. I love it. Okay. So Anna, you have your 2 store locations. You're in Fort Collins now as of last year, and you're in Loveland. And then you also sell online. So you have e-com and you're managing social. And I know you've got your shop on Instagram so people can buy that way too. What are some of the things that help you get all that done and manage all of those things?
I would say delegation. I usually have about like 7 to 8 girls on my staff just at Pilar, and I am very trusting, and I have done a really good job at training myself on how to be a manager and how to train others and help them be successful in their job and their role. And so that way that I can trust them in doing things in the store and the operations. And so I don't have to be all and do all.
Right. If you process credit cards, you're going to want to listen up for this resource because it could save you hundreds, if not thousands of dollars a year. It personally saved my business thousands of dollars every single year. The resource is our friends over at Payrock, and they have an epic offer for my listeners. Listen up. All you have to do is send a merchant statement over to Payrock, and they're going to see if they can meet or beat your fees. If they cannot meet or beat your fees, then they're going to send you $500. So if you process credit cards, send a statement, you can make $500, or you could save hundreds, if not thousands like I did. It's worth checking. So go to crystalmediaco.com/payrock, and that's PAYROC, to get that process starting, to just send your statement. You guys, I drug my feet for years in sending a statement, and I'm glad I finally did because I'm saving so much money. This is a great offer. I hope they can help you like they did me. Yeah. Keyword here is trusting. That can be a really hard thing, I think, for people to you're letting go of control in a way, right? Like you can train and then here you go. You're in the store and you're running the 2 stores with your team and you're here at your home on interview with me today while you have your stores there operating. But you have to be trusting. Do you have a tip or two that you could share with our retailers from a training standpoint of like, since you've done so well with training your team?
Yeah, I would say, I mean, it starts from the beginning, from the interview of setting expectations that you have, and then really thoroughly going through training on day one. I typically work with my girls I try and do 2 weeks on the floor, just depending on how much experience they have had before. I do use Asana, which is like a management, what do you call it?
Project management tool?
Project management tool. So I had built out like a whole training guideline on there. So every time I train someone, I can go through and check off like, okay, I went through 5-star loyalty with them. I went through how to mop the floor, like all of these things that I have really like in depth written out. And so I can go through and check all those things off. And so that way I know like, okay, I did teach this team member this thing, and if I notice that it's not getting done, then I can like address it right away and just be like, hey, I know we went over this, but do you need some more help with it? And then that way it just they feel like, I don't know, they feel truly understand what they're doing, and I can catch on to like knowing if they do understand or not.
Exactly. Well, there's a little room for error when you have everything so mapped out in Asana. Here's every single thing you need to know. So you're not forgetting to teach something. So when it does come up for them, they're like, oh, I don't know how to do this. So you have a lot less error. And I think if anybody is listening to this and you don't have that checklist, and we also use Asana at Crystal Media, I'm a big fan of it. So use that. That's a great free tool. They have a paid option as well. But if you don't have that kind of checklist of onboarding your employee of every little thing that they need, this would be a great time to do that.
Yeah, it's so helpful.
Yeah.
And it's also in Asana, you can share it with them too. So that if they want to take notes while you're training, or if they need to go back and refer to something, that they have access to that.
Love it. Well, and even just like going back, I remember when I first got hired at Chili's and I felt really intimidated because I'd never worked at the restaurant industry before. And I took a menu home and I was studying everything. I want to know everything about what comes on every single item and really learn it because I wanted to feel confident in my job. I didn't even think about the fact that, you can share it, take it home, and your team can be going through it for those people who just really want direction. People want exactly, this is what is expected of you. This is how you're going to be successful. You know, I am guilty of this. Sometimes I'm like, just go ahead. How would you do it? And I give kind of free reins. But then it's like, well, where do I start? What do I do? And they're almost set up for failure. So you really have to have that structure so they can feel confident.
Yeah, definitely. I think it just brings so much clarity to the relationship as well.
Totally agree.
Communication is huge as also. Like, I think just having really good communication with my staff, letting them, like, they can text me if they have questions. If there's anything that is bothering me, if I just address it head on and talk about it, even if it's uncomfortable, it just helps our relationship so much. And I think my team appreciates when I do that, and it just helps them grow.
For sure. I think conflict, that I struggle with this majorly. Like if there's something that I just don't want conflict, I don't have the uncomfortable conversation. Pauline, who's on my team, manages a lot of that for me because it's so not a strength. I'm like, oh, I'll just move on, or, oh, I'll hope they don't do it again. I'm not a good manager in that sense, but I see how Pauline will work with our team and how she does. She'll just confront it right away. So there's no time to marinate in that. And like, it keeps you up at night. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It causes that resentment. And you don't want that. Like, let's just handle it and let's move on. And so I feel like for the retailer who is like, Anna, awesome. Keep doing that. For the one who's like me, if you can just start being more comfortable with that, because it will save you a lot of discomfort down the road. Yeah. And then when you get into a place where you could hire a Pauline, like I did, and have a manager who has some of those hard conversations, then you can do that too. But it's critical to the success.
Yeah, I think it's something that you can get good at too. Like, I haven't always been good at the confrontation or discussing things that make me uncomfortable, but the more you do it, the more you practice, and the more you are like, okay, this, like, if I say it this way, it comes across a lot easier than, and like better than if I was just like, hey, can you stop being on your phone?
Right. How do you say it then? I bet a lot of retailers deal with that.
Yeah. I mean, it's really going back to like the compliment sandwich, like being like, you are so great at sales. I have so many customers compliment and say how amazing how amazing you are, and how helpful you were helping them pick out clothes. And then just working into like, these are some ways that I think that you can improve, or even asking them. I think asking them sometimes, like if they feel like they can improve in certain areas, they usually come out and say, I could probably be using my time more wisely while I'm at work. And so letting them like say how they could improve sometimes works too, because then it's like, it's not actually coming from me. Like, they know where they need to improve.
Yeah.
And they're making a commitment to me as they say it.
Exactly. There's some accountability. They have some of the solutions. Let them be the problem solver. I love that. And then the compliment sandwich. I like that. I'm going to have to take that. I haven't heard that before.
Really?
Yeah.
No, I thought it was just like a normal thing. But yeah, if you like give them a compliment and then say something that you aren't liking or that you need changed, and then you say at the end, like, but you're doing a great job.
Yeah. Got it. That's such a great tool. I love it. Yeah. Anna, what advice would you offer to somebody who is interested in starting their own store?
This is a hard one because I want to be positive. I know that it's such a dream when someone has a dream and they want to open a store, it's like that dream is so powerful. But I also want to say run. Like, retail is one of the hardest industries to get into. It is so hard. There's so many puzzle pieces to it, and it's really like you're being an accountant, you're being a manager of a team, you're being a buyer. Like, you have all of these hats, and when you're starting out, you're not going to be good at most of them. Like, if you want to open a boutique, you're probably really good at shopping or putting outfits together. But are you good at your QuickBooks and your numbers? And so my biggest advice for someone that wants to open a store, though, is know your numbers. Like, that's going to make or break you for sure.
Yep.
And there's so many resources out there now. Like, I wish the resources that I use now, I wish that I had 15 years ago, because there was a lot of years that I didn't pay myself and my mom didn't pay herself. And so if you're going into business for yourself because you want that lifestyle of like making your own hours and building a career for yourself, then it's so important to know your numbers and use those resources and get help to be able to do that.
So good. And we had who I call the Profit Lady, Kathy Wagner, on episode 2 of Rooted in Retail. And she also does Management 1, but that was also her key, is you have to know your numbers. You have to. If anybody's listening to this and can agree with Anna on the advice of running, I want you to take a screenshot of however you're listening to this. Okay. If you're in the car and you're at a good place, take a picture of your little monitor that shows the podcast, take a screenshot of your phone of the podcast. If you're YouTubing, take a picture, and I want you to put it on Instagram, tag Crystal Media CO. go. And however you want, if you want crying emojis, if you're like, yep, run. But I know that there are retailers who probably totally laughed when you said that and could totally agree. And I know at the end of the day, it is worth it. For most people, it's worth it, but it is a lot of work. So you have to be ready. Like you are running this business.
Yeah.
So good. What does the future of Pilar look like, and how do you see your stores evolving and growing in the years to come?
Oh, Crystal, I am such a big dreamer. And sometimes I'm like, Anna, just be content with where you're at. You know, like you have 3 stores and we also have a photo studio too. So I'm like, just be content. Like you're good where you're at, but it's like, I can't, like I am driving around, like looking for my next location. And,
oh, I love it.
But, I want to have 5 Pilars by 2026. And I want to be able to offer, some full-time positions to my team. That's like a big deal for me because I have some amazing girls that work for me. And if I can give them a career out of Pilar, it would just mean the world to me.
Oh, I love that. I just got chills. I so see that vision for you. And can you say where are you thinking of the 3rd location?
I've been looking at Windsor. I feel like they could really use more retail there, but it's not as developed. And so it's just one of those scary locations where it's like it could be a huge success because there isn't a lot, or it could be like when my mom started in Loveland in 2006 and it was just like a ghost town.
Totally.
And she really she paved the way for a lot of other businesses downtown, but the start was rough, where it's like I opened in Fort Collins and it's instantly successful because there already is foot traffic and it's a well-known area. And then I'd probably look at Boulder after that.
Oh, nice. Great locations. And I would throw Timnath in the mix. I know we don't have a lot going on here in Timnath, but it's booming. It's growing. It's insane. And so is Windsor. So I love this vision for you. I can't wait to see it come to life. And let's dive into the resilience round, where we've got 6 questions to help retailers be more resilient. The first question is, what's the best business book you've read?
Okay, I can't give you just one. I'm such a reader. I love to grow and read. And so Dare to Lead by Brene Brown, that's one of the books that has made me such a good leader and really step into that confrontation and be okay with it when it comes to my team. Profit First, Know Your Numbers. I don't know who do you know who?
Michael, somebody?
I don't know. If you just look up Profit First.
Yes.
Kind of a confusing book, but there's a lot of people out there that are coaches for Profit First too, if you need more guidance on that. And then another book, this isn't a business book, but I do feel like being a business owner, you have to do work on yourself to be a good leader and to have a successful business. So I wrote down how to do the work, and I don't remember who that's by either.
How to do the work. I don't think I've read that one. I am going to order it when we hang up. That sounds amazing. How to do the work.
Good.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay. What's the best retail technology, like an app or software?
Okay, I have to give a shout out to my husband. He's been working on an app for 5 years and he just launched it. It's called Hatch Inventory Management, and it's through Shopify. And I don't know if anyone listening has struggled with inventory issues. Shopify, you can do manual inventory, but Hatch really, it lets you connect your Socket barcode scanner to the app. It just automatically connects, and then you can scan your store and it'll tell you anything that you missed. It'll automatically reconcile any products for you, so you don't have to do any manual counting or changing. It just changes Shopify for you right then and there. And there's so many amazing features to it, but it just launched in Shopify a week ago, so it's ready for everyone to use.
Yay! We're so excited about that. Anna was telling me about it and just the frustration, and then it just recently happened. So go check out Hatch, and we'll link to it in the show notes too. It's so cool.
use it personally, and it's such a game changer for our inventory.
Oh, it's so good. How do you keep up with the ever-changing retail landscape?
I would say just having an open mind and being willing to pivot when needed. There's just so many things that get thrown at us as business owners. And so just being able to change and pivot is really important.
I so agree. You got to adapt. You got to evolve because retail is ever changing. How do you recharge your batteries?
I would say delegating to my team has been huge. I have been burnt out many, many, many times in the last 15 years. And so just really delegating to my team and letting myself rest and know that it's okay that I don't have to work 7 days a week.
No, you don't. You can't. I mean, it's just not sustainable. You've got to have that rest and we almost feel like we have to have permission, give ourselves that permission to rest. And having that team in place is really going to help.
It was it was 2 years ago, I decided to take the summer off of the floor and our sales grew. And then, so that made me realize that I don't have to be there and my business won't fail if I'm not there. So it's okay to take a break. It's okay to not be in your store every single day.
I have chills. Again, Anna, I just feel like somebody listened to that right now and was like, whew, almost emotional of, I don't have to do this. I don't have to put myself through this and my business can still work and it can still grow. Thank you for sharing that.
I think a lot of boutique owners probably have families and kiddos, and it's just important. Your kids grow up so fast, so spend time with them and your business will still be there.
Yes, it will. To help retailers be strong, rooted in success, what's a foundational best practice for a women's clothing boutique?
I wrote down, can I cuss on this or no?
You sure can.
I wrote down, know your fucking numbers.
Yes.
It's important.
It's so important. And I love that it's double your answer. You say it again, but we amplify it. I love it. It's so true.
Every single month, look at your numbers.
Good. Love it. And what do you think the future of independent retail is?
I'm so excited for small retailers. I just think that they're popping up everywhere. They're booming. I'm really sad to see Macy's in Fort Collins just closed, which is a bummer. But at the same time, I keep seeing small businesses open. And I think there's such a bright future for small retailers, mom and pop shops. And I think it's amazing.
I agree. I feel like the future is very bright for our small businesses. Yeah. So. Yeah. Anna, how can people find you online?
I'm at shop_Pilar and Cloz to Home, which is CLOZ. And then I have my personal Instagram is ANA_Pilar_M.
Awesome.
So I'm just on Instagram.
Okay. Awesome. And we'll link to all of that. Anna, thank you so much. It means so much to me to have you on the show.
You're such an amazing inspiration and for the retail industry. I wish that you were around 15 years ago when I started. But I just want to say thank you for creating this platform for retailers. It's incredible.
Oh, that really means a lot. I'm so happy to do it. I really love our retailers and supporting our mom and pops because they're people like you who are incredible people who provide amazing jobs, who are good leaders, who care about their company and their team and their community. And so that makes my job incredibly fulfilling and easy to do. So thank you. This was so good. And everyone listening, remember that I am rooting for your success and we'll see you on the next Rooted in Retail. Bye, Anna. Thank you.
All right, Crystal. Thank you.
Thank you so much for being here. It means the world to me. Don't forget to join the Rise and Shine newsletter, which is social media news you need to know, sent via email every Monday morning. Go to crystalmediaco.com/rise to join. And don't miss the newest episode of Rooted in Retail, which drops every Sunday morning.